Explain. If you are here for the first time, please consider subscribing to this channel. In today's video, we'll be talking about the Usahihi Expressway, the Nairobi Mombasa Expressway, which is now has been submitted for second review. For several years now, the proposed Nairobi Mombasa Usahihi Expressway has been presented as a transformative infrastructure project linking Kenya's capital to the main port city of Mombasa. But the project is now at a critical juncture. What began as a privately initiated proposal from a US-based investment firm has already been rejected once, restructured, and now is undergoing a second review by the government. Here, we examine the background of Usahihi Expressway, who is involved, how the project was structured, and why the government declined the original proposal. We also look at how Kenya public-private partnership law governs privately initiated proposals and how feasibility studies are assessed, what happens when the government authorities reject proposals, and what options remain for the second review as well as for the project developer. And finally, we'll consider a broader policy question, whether Kenya urgently needs a new expressway between Nairobi and Mombasa, given the existing infrastructure SGR and the existing road. Let's start by giving a background on the project as well as the players. The Usahihi Expressway proposal was put forward by Everstrong Capital. This is a United States-based infrastructure investment firm, and this is through its Kenya subsidiary, Everstrong Capital Kenya Limited. The proposal was submitted to the Kenya National Highway Authority, KENHA, under the Public-Private Partnership Framework. The road was envisioned as a 459 kilometers tall expressway corridor running from Nairobi, Mlolongo area, all the way up to Mombasa County. The proposal followed a typical PPP model known as DBFOMT, which is design, build, finance, operate, maintain, and transfer. In this arrangement, the private developer, which in this case was Everstrong Capital, financing the project and also constructing the road, operating and maintaining it for concession period, which is roughly 30 years, recovering in investment through toll revenue, and eventually transferring the asset back to the government ownership. Everstrong Capital submitted an extensive 2,300 pages feasibility study covering technical, financial, environmental, and legal aspects of the project. The firm presented the project as a comprehensive corridor upgrade. According to the company, the proposal combined a new expressway alignment with improvement to sections of the existing Nairobi Mombasa Highway A8 to improve traffic flow and safety. What is the promise of the project? The Nairobi Mombasa corridor is one of the most economically important trade routes in East Africa. The Northern Corridor. It connects the port of Mombasa, which serves Kenya and several landlocked countries, to Nairobi and wider regional economy. The proposed expressway aimed to 1. Reduce travel time between Nairobi and Mombasa, ease congestion along A8 highway, improve safety on a road known for frequent accidents, as well as strengthen the logistics corridor between the port and the inland market. In theory, a high-capacity controlled access highway could improve freight movement and passenger travel along the corridor. But infrastructure proposal of this scale depend heavily in one factor, feasibility, how the project entered the PPP system. The Usahihi proposal did not originate from the government. Instead, it was submitted as a privately initiated proposal, PIP. Under the Public-Private Partnership Act of 2021, private firms are allowed to propose projects that are not part of the government procurement plan. The Section 43 of this Act governs this process. Once a privately initiated proposal is submitted, the contracting authority, in this case it was Kenya National Highway Authority, conducts an initial evaluation. 2. If the concept is considered viable, it may receive conditional approval. The project then proceeds to project development phase, PDP, where detailed feasibility studies are undertaken. This is exactly what happened with the Sahihi Expressway proposal. The PPP committee gave conditional approval, allowing Everstrong Capital to proceed with development phase. During the phase, the developer is required to produce comprehensive studies covering engineering, feasibility, environment and social impact, traffic demand model, financial structure, as well as risk allocation between public and private entities. These studies are then submitted to contracting authority for review. The legal review process takes this process. Under Section 43.43 of the PP Act of 2021, the contracting authority must evaluate all documents produced during the project development phase. After evaluation, the authority prepares a report which is forwarded to the PPPDirectorate at the National Treasury and ultimately to the PPP committee, the body which is responsible for final approval. The committee then decides whether the project satisfies the legal and financial requirements of a PPP. The law gives committees several options. Under Section 43.11, the committee may approve the project, request revisions, or reject the proposal altogether. Then, why was the proposal rejected? This brings us to this. The turning point came on July 2nd, 2025, during the 54th ordinary meeting of the PPP committee. After reviewing the evaluation report, the committee ruled that the proposal did not meet the relevant criteria required under the law. The decision cited Section 43.11c of the PPP Act 2021, which allows the government to abandon the proposal if it fails to meet evaluation standards. The government did not publicly detail all the specific shortcomings, but the decision indicates that the feasibility studies or financial structure did not satisfy the criteria required for approval. However, the ruling did not permanently close the door. Instead, the committee directed KENHA to restructure the project and focus on expanding the existing 8 highway. What's the current status? The revised proposal, which is under review. Following the decision, Everstrong Capital prepared a revised proposal incorporating the government recommendation as resubmitted to the authorities. The revised proposal is currently under review by the relevant government institutions, including KENHA, as well as the PPPDirectorate and the National Treasury. This means that the project has effectively entered a second evaluation cycle, where the revised feasibility studies, technical design, and financial structure are again being assessed before any decision can be made on whether the project can proceed. The law allows such resubmission. Under Article 43.12, a revised proposal may be submitted again for a fresh determination by the PPP committee, and this is what Everstrong Capital has done. Let's speculate on what may have changed in the second review. The directive to restructure the project suggests that the government may have had concerns about the original design. One possible issue is the balance between building an entirely new expressway and upgrading the existing infrastructure. Kenya already has A8 Nairobi Mombasa Highway, a corridor that could potentially be expanded through dual carriageways and targeted upgrades. The committee instructions indicates a preference for examining whether upgrading the existing road could deliver similar benefits at lower cost. Another possible issue is the traffic demand projections, which are central to toll road PPP projects. For toll roads to be financially viable, feasibility studies must demonstrate sufficient traffic volumes, reliable long-term revenues, acceptable toll revenues. If demand projections appear very optimistic, which probably was the case in this, the government often rejects proposals to avoid long-term fiscal liabilities. PPP projects can also expose government to contingent liabilities, particularly when traffic volumes fall below projection, and this could be the reason why it was rejected. And these are the areas that Everstrong Capital has revised. What happens if the government remains unsatisfied? The PPP Act provides clear options if revised proposal still fails to meet required criteria. One, the government, just like in the first place, may reject the proposal permanently, may request further restructuring, or procure the project through open competitive bidding instead of privately initiated proposal if still necessary to build this road. This means that if Everstrong Capital originally proposed the project, it does not automatically secure the right to build it. Kenya PPP laws allow the government to subject the proposal to competitive bidding, ensuring that other firms can also bid. What are the options available for Everstrong Capital? For the project developer, several paths still remain. The company can restructure the proposal further in line with government recommendations, incorporate expansion of the A8 highway as a central component. Also, it can revise traffic and financial models. It can resubmit the proposal again for evaluation. If the revised proposal meets legal and financial requirements, the PPP committee could allow it to proceed to the next stage. But approval is far from being guaranteed. Large infrastructure PPPs often undergo several rounds of negotiation before reaching final close. What is the broader question? Does Kenya need the expressway? That's the question that many are asking, especially those who are opposed to PPP projects. Beyond the legal and financial questions lies the more fundamental issue. Kenya already has two major transport systems linking Nairobi and Mombasa. We have the existing A8 highway, we have the SGR standard gauge railway. The SGR was designed to carry both freight and passengers along the same corridor. Meanwhile, sections of A8 highway could potentially be upgraded through dual carriageways and targeted improvements rather than constructing an entirely new expressway. These alternatives raise legitimate policy questions. Whether a new toll expressway is the most effective solution in terms of cost, whether upgrading existing infrastructure would deliver similar benefits, and how freight and passenger demand will evolve in the coming decades. Infrastructure decisions of this scale have a long-term implication for public finances and transport policy. And now, in conclusion, we say that the Usahi Expressway remains one of the most ambitious private infrastructure proposals ever presented to the Kenya government. But it also presents a test case for how the country's public-private partnership framework works in practice. The rejection of the original proposal and the resubmission now under review illustrates the role of feasibility studies, regulatory oversight, as well as legal safeguards in evaluating privately initiated projects. For Everstrong Capital, the path forward depends on whether the revised proposal now being examined can satisfy the government technical, financial, and policy requirements. For Kenya, the debate goes beyond a single road. It raises broader questions about infrastructure priorities, the role of private capital in public projects, and whether mega projects, nuances for that case, are always necessary when existing infrastructure may still be expanded or improved. The outcome of the current review will therefore determine not only the fate of Usahi Expressway, but also how Kenya balances ambition with prudence in the development of large infrastructure projects. So thank you for reaching this far. If it's your first time here, please consider subscribing to this channel. You can also comment, share, and also like. Thank you, and let's meet in the next one.